Hello, I'm FPX and welcome back to an episode of my Minecraft Xbox Update Adventures Let's Play. This is the Willy series where I give you an update as to what's been going on in my survival Let's Play world. And in case you're curious as to the biggest thing going on in the past week, it's of course been the ice project. It's been the thing on my mind, making those ice islands. But today I'm not going to be solely focusing on that, although it will come back up later. Instead today I wanted to talk about Nether portals, and I wanted to really improve the functionality of my Nether portal network. And by the way, in case you're curious as to how I got so much obsidian, you really don't want to know. There are a lot of live streams out there of me literally mining obsidian for absurd amounts of time. But yeah, the thing about obsidian and Nether portals is most people think of it as just being a way to get to the Nether, and then some people might think beyond that as a way to be like, well, if I'm over here and 500 blocks that way, I've got another house or another something else I want to connect, well, I make a Nether portal here and I make a Nether portal there, and you can connect them real fast. And it's definitely really good for that. If you've never seen just how fast you can go between two places, again, check my Z coordinate right now. I'm at literally minus 250. Now we're going to hop over to the Nether. By the way, the bedrock screen for the Nether is slightly different, and now you're going to see we're at minus 42 because the Nether's an 8:1 scale with the overworld, which you all know by now, but I'm just mentioning it so that when we go literally, something like 40, 50 blocks, we're going to go, from negative 40 to about positive 7. Now when we do that 47 block walk and admittedly go down the staircase and do the exact same journey back into the overworld, you'll notice how my Z coordinate, it doesn't necessarily make too much sense, but my Z coordinate is 184. I mean, it's not 7 times 8, but again, it's close enough, and now you can see that same castle we saw earlier. Actually, we literally can't see the same castle from earlier because it's just outside the render distance of what we can do right now, and yeah, we traveled 400 blocks in 40 blocks or 50 blocks because of the Nether thing, and that's what a lot of people think the edge of what you can do with Nether portals is. But today I wanted to show you 3 extra ways to use Nether portals, or at least, a few extra ways to really take best advantage of them, because a lot of people aren't taking advantage. And as a fun fact, although the hardest achievement on Minecraft Bedrock is obviously the Master Trader, a lot of people say, well, I mean, the one on Java might be harder in some ways because it's all in one. To actually finish the hardest achievement for Java, how do we get here? To get all the effects at once, you need to use at least one of these techniques. So I figured because of that, at the very least, we can mention this, here. But then there's some other things that you can do with it as well. So yeah, like I mentioned, the Nether just links to the overworld at a 1:8 scale, and it's simple enough to imagine like that. But then there's some pretty interesting things you can do by placing portals, further, away from each other, because then we can travel a really good distance. But what if you wanted to have 2 portals that were close together in the overworld, or even close together in the Nether? I mean, it's less useful that second way. Let's say we have a portal which is all the way over here. This links to my end portal. What if I wanted to link to my end portal from somewhere else? So I've got a portal over here. Again, if you check, we've gone about 100 blocks now from the previous portal. It's a pretty decent distance that we can cover like this via the Nether. It's really handy. But what if we could utilize the fact that there's a Nether portal here, and therefore there can't be anything that links to a different Nether portal within, I think it's 128 Nether blocks of it. I think that's exactly the number, in fact. But it's 128 Nether blocks, the furthest we can go away, or the closest we can get, while still making another portal. If we place the portal, for instance, literally on the ground up here, it would link to the same place. And most people intuitively know, yeah, if we had a Nether portal this close to the other one, it would still link to the same place. But if we had a Nether portal on that mountain, it would still link to the same place in the Nether. And you might say, so yeah, of course, this is something we all know, right? But here's where you can use this for extreme, usefulness, in my opinion. Because if I placed the Nether portal over here, it would link to the same place in the Nether, but that Nether portal would still link to the same place in the overworld. And, in case you're curious as to where this one's going, let's say you have an ocean monument, which is filled with Eld Gardens, so you don't want to go there too much, but you want to get away from there sometimes. I mean, who doesn't want to get away from, ocean monuments? So what you could perhaps do with a situation like this is you could place a Nether portal over here. Is this the correct size? I think so. You could place a Nether portal just over here. Then, by the way, I'm super rich in obsidian, so I'm going to do something very classy. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to fill in the corners. Look how nice that is. But now when we place this Nether portal and we jump right into it, something you're going to notice is it's going to take us to the same Nether portal we went into all that distance ago. Look at me right here. I'm here in the same area, which means when we go through this Nether portal, we'll end up right back in our end, portal. And the amazingness in that, in my opinion, by the way, we've confirmed that works, is this now means we can go from the, ocean monument to the end portal in, what was that, about 8 seconds? If we were not showing it off for a video, we'd be even faster, right? In fact, let me prove the speed of this one to you all. So I'm literally going beyond the render distance of where you can even see the end portal when that tower disappears. That's when the end portal's disappeared. From beyond the render distance, something which, flying would take a couple of fireworks and about, 10 seconds, or maybe less if you were really aggressive with it, but something like 10 seconds maximum. This way, it takes us, the 4-second portal charge. Then we literally just step out for the briefest amount of time, then we step back in, and boom, we're going to appear right there down at even the correct Y level, because that's where the portal is, ready to go into the end if we so want. We can go from being fatigued by the Elder Guardian or taking sea lanterns or whatever we want into the end instantly, which I think is really cool. But again, it's not the only use for this. By the way, just in case you haven't seen my slip and slide, this is my other way of getting into the end portal. You slide into this, then you fall down, and then, oh wait, I don't want to go into the end. But yeah, I've got a bed that I do need to go into. So let's just go to sleep real quick. And then I can show you other cool things you can do with Nether portals. Because the reason I want to use them today is to set up more points like that, instant teleportation. Because, using fireworks is nice. I do have enough gunpowder to do it a lot. Like, I've got 23 on me right now. But the annoying thing is, it's just like, man, it feels so wasteful. Like, there are times where I don't want to waste this elytra durability. Look at me, I'm on like halfway down. And now that means I'm going to have to get some XP. Or it might run out on me mid-flight. Like, there are all these sorts of issues. So how do you fix them? Nether portals. So this area right here, for instance, it's somewhere I come back to every time I get more leaves because I'm filling up an ocean with waterlogged leaves. Or not an ocean, a lake. It's a bit of a weird, confusing place. You're going to have to not ask questions if you haven't seen this in a stream or something. But this is an area that does make some sense. Actually, it doesn't even make some sense in my best of worlds. But we can place a Nether portal here. And I'm not necessarily sure it'll link to the same one because we're just outside the range. Again, if you want to guarantee it, you have to be within 128 Nether blocks. If it would generate a portal more than 128 blocks away, then it's not going to work, but we can do the same thing from even further away and have multiple portals set to the same point. This one's a tool portal, but that's fine. We have the obsidian for it, right? Let's see where we end up. I actually am curious on this one, like, oh, it's going to take us to the same place as well. That is very handy, actually. So now we've got 2 points in the Nether linking us to the same point in the overworld. Sorry, the other way around. You actually could do it the way I just mentioned, though. The way I mistakenly said. If I built a Nether portal over here, for instance, it's going to take me to the end portal. So now, again, let's say we want to save some time. And a lot of what this world is all about is saving time. We can now do the same thing in reverse if we really want to. So let's just say this is where I usually get down to. Let's say I don't want to cross this area here, because sometimes there are wither skeletons, and wither skeletons aren't very nice to folks like me. So what we could do instead here is we could make use this little area here, in fact. Let's just dig ourselves a hole in the wall. Let's make it the perfect size for an Nether portal. Then we dig the blocks around it. And I've used too much obsidian today. We're going to go for the obsidian poor version, just because, honestly, at this stage, I don't really... When you can't see the corners, is it even worth using them? If you're not even gloating on other people, is that even a thing? I don't really know. And then there, just like that, we can go through, and again, because it's with 128 Nether blocks, it should, although that was entirely wrong, we've generated a brand new portal in a place I have no clue about. So again, this is why I say should. When it comes to bedrock, the rules of will and won't tend to go a bit weird. And now, because we've placed this one, things might get even weirder. Like our portals might start linking over to that one instead. Again, don't ask me why, don't ask me what's happened here, or if this is normal, because I'm genuinely not sure. So let's just... But yeah, what would usually happen, what is meant to happen, is that would go to there. But again, sometimes that's not the case. And you can actually utilize the fact that sometimes this isn't the case to your advantage. Because let's say you're obsidian rich but diamond poor, or you're obsidian rich but you really want a name tag and you need to find those in naturally generated chests. What do you do in this situation? Well, what I recommend is going somewhere in your Nether fairly low down, like one of these super low Y levels where you haven't already created a portal. Again, like just find somewhere well away from all of this stuff, then create a portal super low down. And why I recommend this? Because if the game physically can find somewhere for you to spawn at the correct Y level, it's going to try to do that. And you might say, well, what's the significance in that? Well, the correct Y level for a 39, again, because the Nether sea level is, well, lava level. Can you call it a sea level? But the Nether level of liquid is much lower than that in the overworld, meaning this should be below the ground in the overworld, which means it will try to put you in a cave, a stronghold, an abandoned mineshaft if one exists. Does one exist? In this case, no. Although we just made another Nether portal. I hope this isn't somewhere important. Oh, it's right over here by my jungle. No, that's a different jungle. Well, I found another jungle. That's nice. I have no clue where I am in the world. Things are a bit weird here, though, so I'm going to leave. So while I get some distance on this previous one, because that's always a good idea, I just want to quickly mention something kind of cool, a little bit of an update. Because, I mean, this whole thing's meant to be an update, and I'll let you know about my week. It's not been going that great, but one of the few great things in my week, I would say, is that the Let's Play map that I've been trying to get on the store for quite some time, I can't talk about what part of the process it's in now, but it's out of my hands. So the version as of about a week ago of this Let's Play is now in the hands of someone somewhere who can maybe make it available to you later. Again, I don't know what I can and can't disclose through NDA, but I can say that therefore, in a rational world, you would expect to be able to download the map if that's what you want to do, you know, to support the channel within like a few weeks on the store, if that's what you would like to do. Probably, maybe. Yeah, there we go. That's legally covered. As long as you say probably, maybe enough, then everything is allowed to be said. That's just legal law, you know, like ask anyone. And by the way, now we're going to try this one again. Again, this is live, off the cuff. I want to see where this one ends up. Like, do we get in a little cave this time? Or do we get unlucky a second? We do get unlucky a second time. Although I think this is a place I've already made one of these. Wait, this is a really strange place. Like, there's just there's a perfect corner over there of nothingness. But you can see what's happened here is there's actually ocean. You generally can't spawn below an ocean because the ocean level's quite low, at least in modern Minecraft. But yeah, so what it does instead is it realizes it can't spawn us where it wants to. It can't even spawn us on the ground. There's no place for a portal, so it makes a platform around us. This is a Bedrock exclusive. On Java, what would usually happen is it would keep trying to find caves, and if it couldn't find you a cave, it'd spawn you somewhere near the land. That's my understanding, at least. Again, there's a lot of differences between Java, which is a lot more refined, and Bedrock, where things are goofier, but sometimes to your advantage. So, you know, take that to mean what you will. Also, the exact same thing I just mentioned with portal linking happened here. So here's a Nether portal I had already that was linked, and now I've linked another Nether portal to that one. So if I'm in the Nether and I want to go from really low down to really high up, I can just go through that portal and then back up through there. Let me show you this, in fact, just because it's my point and I want to prove it. So let's say I was all the way down there, which, again, admittedly, I'm not going to be, but in your Nether, it might be different. So you're chilling in your Nether cave, and what you can do from here is you can make a ladder, you can make like a staircase, you can make anything like that to get yourself up if you want to, and that's entirely fine. Or you could just go through the Nether into the overworld, and then you can go from the overworld back to the Nether, and you'll have gone vertically by a lot of blocks, as well as traveling a lot horizontal, in the X and Z axis. But again, the horizontal is usually the biggest part of that, and isn't that useful? Now you've got a big view from up here. We can fly again without having to waste fireworks because we've got the gliding momentum to guide us, and yeah, it's pretty cool in my opinion. So yeah, those are the three major uses. You can find caves, although we were unlucky 2 of the times. I kind of want to go a 3rd time just to prove the point, but you know, it exists, it's a thing. You can take my word for it. This isn't a hoax YouTube video. If this was a hoax, I'd be saying things like, hey, you want to know the crazy thing about Minecraft portals? If you make one in the right place, then Herobrine comes out and he gives you free mine coins. Yep, that's a thing. Oh, free mine coins, which you could purchase my map. Wouldn't that be cool? There we go. Linked into self-promotion now. Aren't we great? You know, actually, on the fly just now, I've decided to change my mind. I want to go kill some wither skeletons, because one of the big things that I've been trying to overcome recently is that the dragon on, the wither on Bedrock is super, super, super hard, and because it's recently got a buff to its jump speed, or maybe it's always had that buff to its jump speed, but basically all of the techniques don't work. It breaks obsidian that I don't believe that it should, and it's just nearly impossible to. Did the wither skeleton just fall down? It's nearly impossible to kill the wither on Bedrock for me. Like with my base normal survival stuff. I'm sure in this world it's much easier. So what I want to do is I want to try out some new strategies to kill the wither without causing quite so much mayhem. So that I could theoretically do it in survival with only iron armor, etc. And you know what? To kill the wither, you need wither skeleton skulls. So today, we're going to kill some wither skeletons for their wither skeleton skulls. Because that's the thing I want to do. So let's just look around this place, kill the wither skeletons, and how did a turtle get here? It's so far in the Nether Fortress. What are you doing there, buddy? And yeah, because killing wither skeletons is easy, let's use this opportunity to update you as to what's going on in my life. We just got 2 wither skeleton skulls, so this is clearly meant to be, right? But as to what's been going on in my life, just in case you are curious, ouch. Honestly, it's been a really rough week. The few good things I would say that have been going is I've been good on like the exercise front. I've been, it's been really hot in the UK, so I started skiing, and I realized like, this is fun and exercise, and it's cheaper in the summer. Like, you'd figure, oh, yeah, indoor skiing, when you can ski outdoors, it'd have to be cheaper, because why would you ski indoors? But no, it's cheaper in the summer, because everyone forgets skiing exists during the summer, apparently, so it's less busy, and it's cheaper, and it's an exercise, apparently, or at least so my online Googling tells me, like a pretty strenuous one, even though the hill does a lot of the work. I don't understand in the slightest, but yeah, so I've been feeling really good about that. Like, I've been doing a bit of indoor skiing. I've also been running to the gym, like I said last week. Like, again, I don't want to commit to a gym membership, and I mean, like, with the skiing, I feel like I definitely should not commit to a gym membership after that. But like, still, it's like, man, the gym's quite far away. Going alone is kind of like an exercise, kind of like a big thing. Because if I was gonna walk 20 minutes somewhere, just up a hill too, by the way, it's like quite a steep hill. I would feel like that'd be the exercise for the day. So I've just been walking to the gym. It's been pretty great. I've been seeing some other people on the way back, and it's like, this is why there are always people passing my house at 2 a.m. They go to the gym apparently at odd hours, and they walk or run there and back. Isn't this interesting? You learn a bit about your local area too, and isn't that a nice little side benefit? So yeah, I've been, I would say, as far as like fitness is going, and probably as well as like what I've been eating, it's all been good. But as far as like, I don't know, my mental state, it's not been great. I'll be honest with you here. Like, I've been in a kind of weird place in the last week, and it's not even something I can necessarily. Again, I feel like it's tricky to sometimes pin things down to like what it precisely is, because I mean, I guess the simplest way you can describe anything is like, well, there is like a chemical imbalance. Like, the things I want to do don't line up with the things that I end up doing, and this means that either I'm thinking about doing the wrong things, or that I'm not doing the things that I want to do. And isn't that interesting? But no, yeah. So honestly, it's just been like, man, not been having a particularly good week. But I think really mostly in terms of like, I would say every day zooms past, which I think is the better way you can have it. I feel like perception of time is something that is really easy to go messy. And I think when your time slows to a drag, although it's probably better in the long term because you live a longer life or whatever, like if every day felt like a year, you'd be living 365 years a year. Think about the value from that. But yeah, I think I've killed all the skeletons. Should we go to the ice now? Let's go for the ice now. But so yeah, there's this interesting thing where like I feel like in the making something go away fast, it's like, man, today for instance, it is 1:26 a.m. as I'm recording this. Like, after this, I'll probably, I don't know, play around a Hearthstone, or maybe I'll even stop doing some more ice work because I kind of want to do that anyway, and then I'll head to sleep. And yeah, it's like, so I woke up at like 11, and I felt bad for a couple of hours. But where did the time between 1 p.m. and now go? I feel like I can't track any of that, and yeah, it's kind of an odd feeling. Like, obviously, if I could probably work it out and be like, you watched this much things, but it's like, I watched only 6 episodes of the only TV show I've been watching, so that's like 2 hours because they're 20 minutes each. Maybe throw in like 10 minutes of ads, because I recently went back to watching an ad. Man, it's the worst thing. I now watch ads with TV, like, 'cause usually I watch Netflix, but Netflix doesn't have Community in the UK at least, so I've got to switch to like the Channel 4 thing. If you live in the UK, by the way, Channel 4 has Netflix, so it's free to watch at least, but you've got to watch ads, so it's like, man, there are now ads in my life again, and because they're on my TV, you can't even really easily get rid of them, so it's just like, isn't this an interesting world I live in? I'm now consuming advertisements on the TV again, a lot of them as well, because can we talk about YouTube versus TV? Like, as far as how I'm feeling, who actually cares, right? Like, okay, feeling good, feeling bad, whatever, people go up, people go down. It's the natural path of life. If you didn't go up and down, you'd be the crazy one. So, let's get out of the way, and let's talk about adverts real quick, because everyone is always so quick to trash YouTubers when they're like, oh, you put an ad like in the middle of your video as well as at the start and the end sometimes. Like, man, you be so greedy, right? Because if you don't know, I put one ad in the middle of some videos. It's not even all videos. But some YouTubers do go crazy far. They put 10 ads in there, and it's like, that's probably a bit far. But when you TV, like in America, it's way worse. But even in the UK, it's like there's 3 minutes of ads every 15 minutes. So what does that work out to actually be overall? Like some crazy proportion. If your content is just watching the ads, whereas on YouTube it's 5 seconds and you skip it, or 6 seconds I think, and now you skip. Yeah, I think it's 6 seconds and you don't skip sometimes, and 6 seconds and you do skip, and sometimes it goes longer, but those are rarities for most people in most countries. So it's like, man, you watch 12 seconds of ad, even if you get that mid-roll, and then you get sometimes 20 minutes of content. And yeah, on TV sometimes it's just like, this is the 6th ad. You've already advertised, you know, like a new car. You've advertised, you know, like, I don't know, this new comedy tour that you think I would like to watch, because me sitting at home watching reruns of a 10-year-old show definitely indicates that I'm going to buy tickets to some live event for a comedian I haven't heard of. Yeah, this is great. I love non-personalized ads. These things are the best in the world. And then there's one for like tampons that's like, yeah, be your active self. And it's like, you know, yeah, why am I not being my active self? I should run to the gym. You're right, Tampax. Thanks for letting me know. And it's just, yeah, adverts on TV are insane. And I don't know why anyone thinks it's better, you know, like how anyone can ever criticize a YouTuber. You know, again, 10 ads, probably definitely excessive, but like, oh, I can't believe these YouTuber guys making money off our clicks. It's like such a tiny proportion. Again, I don't want to talk about this from the YouTuber side, because I guess it's kind of different on that level. But as far as like, do I have a shulker box on me? I do. Knew I had one of those here. We got some glass because there's something I'm working on. Again, lots of stuff going on right now. But yeah, there's this kind of interesting thing where like YouTube versus TV, the ad difference is just so huge. And on the YouTube end, it's like, man, with the audiences that YouTubers get, if they were TV networks with the same ad ratios, they would all be, you know, there would be a lot more, I would say, millionaires, but also billionaires. Seinfeld is a billionaire from Seinfeld. I guess, yeah, that probably goes without saying. But like, because the amount just made is so much higher there, and I think he owns some percent of his show. Like, not all people who are on really successful shows make billions, of course. By the way, do you want to see the cool thing that I said I was going to basically keep secret, but now here it is anyway? It's a boat elevator. Isn't that cool? You don't think it's cool? Well, I don't think you're cool. So yeah, let's now get to work on the these islands, I guess. So the islands aren't going to build themselves. By the way, just as a side note here, I've always hated the phrase of like XYZ isn't going to do itself, because it's like, yeah, you're right. XYZ isn't going to do itself. The reason I'm not doing it is probably not because I thought it was going to magically happen, etc, etc, etc. But I guess, again, one of the many mnemonic devices we have to convince people to start working, I guess. And if it works for someone, I guess it works for someone. But it shouldn't work for someone, is my point. So yeah, we're going to place these islands slowly lower down. I've been thinking about, it's taken me a long time to think about, but like, what am I actually doing with these islands? I've got 4 or 5 of them now, and the shapes have just been freeballing as I go along. But how do I work out when this is complete, for example? And I think like I need a shape for the entire islands to take. Like the shapes of every individual island should be random, but I then think within that randomness of shapes, there should then be like an overall pattern or something. Because the one, I mean, it's something to actually complete and finish. But 2, it will actually, you know, like, it makes sense to have, even if every individual organism in a collective doesn't make sense, the species as a whole generally does, right? Oh god, no, oh, no, okay, well, I'm trapped in this now, aren't I? Should we just let it fall? Nah, let's fly over to the boat elevator thing. But yeah, so there's this kind of, funny thing to me that, like, whenever YouTube versus, TV comes up on that front, because like I think people forget how bad TV is till you go back to watching it. Because so again, like I said, I've been in just like a real rough time of like not being particularly motivatable. Like when some people say they're not motivated, and it's like I know why I should do the things, and I know I want to do the things, but I just don't. I know it's not a thing I usually have in my life. It's something I would describe was 99% of my life until like, I don't know. I would say roughly the YouTube time is when I really, I guess, maybe as part of this, maybe because I just enjoy it so much. But it was like, I realized that like, oh yeah, there are lots of things that are hard in the moment, but they're really enjoyable after the moment. How about you convince yourself to do them so that they get done? Wow, yeah, like, you know, making videos, sometimes you're like, oh, what do I even make videos about, etc, etc. But why don't you just make the videos, and then the videos will be made, and then people can enjoy them, because you know what you really enjoy doing? Reading comments and stuff. Like, admittedly, I'd say some videos now, like, again, when I post a video that goes to literally everyone and their mother, those comments are going to be 99% people talking to other people, and 1% people being like, oh yeah, this was good, that was great, really enjoyed this part. Like, you know, like, I really enjoy the comments on something like this, for instance, the Let's Plays. I still read all the comments on the Let's Plays, in case you're curious. It's even though every now and then when the videos go viral, I guess I regret that one too. Because again, it's like a lot of people who actually enjoy the thing that they're watching. Sometimes on YouTube, again, this is... Can we talk about YouTube versus TV differences? I feel like we could do that all video. But like one of the biggest differences is like on TV, you're there because you want to watch a thing. Sometimes on YouTube, I feel like people watch my videos, but with not really knowing why. And it's like, I didn't realize you were here against your will. I'm sorry for kidnapping your attention or whatever I've apparently done. But yeah, like it, and that sounds like a joke, but apparently it's a thing that people really feel like has happened. And yeah, this is it's something I was kind of thinking about a lot, because it's really interesting that while watching TV, I realized that the difference in how you receive the media is really such a huge difference to how you, I guess, receive in the other sense of the word. The difference in the way that the media comes to you also will change, I think, the way that you perceive the media. So, for instance, I was watching Community, the 10-year-old show, in case you're curious. I don't think it's 10 years old yet, but it's super close to 10 years old. It's got some really good seasons, really bad seasons. The really good episodes, really bad episodes. There are a lot of episodes of that show that I just sit through because I'm like, well, I mean, I guess I'm going to wait for a good one. And there's a couple of them where I was just like, well, I'm going to skip this because I know, there's a huge back catalogue and I can just watch a better one. And it made me realize that, like, with a TV show, with network TV, the way you were kind of just obliged to watch a thing was like, oh yeah, I like this, I'll see it to the end. It's very rare you quit something midway through, or at least it wasn't the standard. It was, it was less than common. I don't know how to put that one correctly. Whereas, when it comes to, we're going to make a new island over here now, I guess. But on YouTube, there's the really interesting kind of difference where you're not watching even when you watch a channel, like, it's rare to become a fan of a channel. Instead, you watch a video you really like, and then you hope that something like that comes up again, and if it, something equally as good. So what YouTube's basically doing is, like, let's say instead of being 20 shows a day, like on a TV, there is effectively, a million shows being uploaded to YouTube all the time, and their job is to work out the good episodes and the bad episodes and try and filter them so you don't even have to think about it, which is kind of insane that any tech company would even begin to embark on something like that. But it seems to be just like, that describes a lot of what YouTube does, right? Like, just kind of insane ideas that, like, why did they do them? Because, I don't know, like, they figured they could. And so yeah, it's like they're trying to filter out the good TV show episodes from the bad one, and then they can work out who's willing to watch every episode, including the off ones that are pretty good in moments but aren't perfect overall, and who only wants the very best of the best. That's why some YouTube videos on the same channels uploaded very similar times with very similar content can have such wildly different views, I think. That's how I make Method from the Madness. I mean, otherwise you have to believe that it's pure random, and YouTube subscribers only see your stuff sometimes anyway, and it doesn't matter how much work put in something. But I like to believe. I mean, sometimes it's nice to believe things, even if you don't believe they're true. But I like to believe, even though I think it is true, that the way it would have to work is like, yeah, they're trying to work out which viewers wouldn't enjoy something anyway, and therefore are better served with something else. Which really sucks when you're told that, like, oh yeah, this video you put all this time into, your viewers weren't going to enjoy it, so we just didn't send it to them. But I think on the viewing end, because again, I've been watching a lot of YouTube and TV, like, I guess the rest of my time today must have went on YouTube, so clearly I enjoy it some amount, right? And yeah, the experience is really different because I am just kind of sitting down one video at a time. Like, the thing that convinces me to stay for longer is, like, another good video, like, and then another good video, and then another good video. Oops. But those are the things that actually keep me engaged on YouTube, which is different to how people are engaged on TV, right? And yeah, it was just, it's interesting to realize that, like, going through both in one day, that, like, yeah, there are some experiences, some things that are just so hugely different. And I think YouTube trying to replace TV might be a big part of the problem. And I still don't know if YouTube's going to be successful and that's going to be, like, the smartest play of the century. Because right now it's true within children, right? Like, again, a lot of people like to be like, well, I mean, children are the only ones, watching, I don't know, insert content here, whether it's Fortnite, Minecraft, or like, oh, Toy Cat, you make Minecraft videos, therefore it's probably your children. But one, I mean, like, you saying that is probably not a child, right? So, I mean, you prove your own example wrong. But two, like, the number of people who every single time show, like, hey, yeah, this isn't a thing. The analytics prove it wrong. Every single thing besides just people's random anecdotal evidence proves that concept wrong. But yet people say it anyway. But I mean, like, the reason is why is because you always see, you know, like, watching TV is kind of crazy to a child now, right? Like, so yeah, it's like me, you know, I live with, you know, TV the first 15 or something years of my life. And to me, it's kind of crazy going back to TV. Imagine not going back to it, but having never been to it and being like, so why do people watch this in such large numbers? Do they not know about YouTube? It's kind of like whenever you hear the statistic that, like, I don't know, 80% of people don't have internet, it's like, oh, has no one shown them? Do they not know what the internet can do? Like, it really feels that way sometimes, where you're just like, huh, something is wrong with them, I guess. You know, some crucial part of their life that should have informed them about the internet just did not, and isn't that a tragedy? And yeah, I guess that's how a lot of people might feel about YouTube eventually, where it's like, huh, they don't know it exists, huh? They, like, no matter, again, the craziest thing is, like, no matter who you are, no matter what your age, you know, my uncle, he's not particularly old, but, like, he's 40, he's beyond the age of most. I don't know if he watches too much TV, but he really loves watching woodworking videos. My granddad even, who is, oh, I should know his age. My granddad, who is over 70, he loves watching videos about trains from, like, enthusiast channels. Sometimes it's just uploads of TV, which is, you know, watching TV without ads, admittedly. But, like, yeah, the fact that there is so much niche content for everyone and anyone who wants to find what they're looking for, I think that's really cool, personally. Also, let's make this island way wider. I've decided, midway through, let's just make it bigger. Because why not, right? Yeah, the fact that, like, there is something for everyone on YouTube is amazing. And I guess I'm really just ranting on that because it's 1:28 a.m. and, you know, I love YouTube. I have that feeling of euphoria towards it. Because, yeah, recently, I think one of the, so, what I've been doing up to this last week, I guess, as well as just how I've been doing, and I guess watching a lot of TV and not feeling great. By the way, let me give you some TV recommendations, because again, I could give YouTube recommendations all day. There are some channels you've got to binge watch if you've never watched them already. Like, you know, yeah, I can watch, I did watch like 3 hours or something of like a CGP Grey video, or like, I don't know, a Tom Scott, or like a Wendover Productions, or like Zero Punctuation. Like, all these things, when you first find them, you're like, oh, it's a treasure trove of content for you to dive into if you want to. And yeah, I think that, personally at least, I think it's really cool that there are so many great YouTube channels, but also maybe you want to watch TV, maybe not legally, so that way you avoid the ad problem. Maybe you have Netflix subscription, you're like, so what should I watch, Toy Cat? So here's my recommendation. Do you want to be in on the up with Toy Cat here? So first of all, Communities, what I've been going through. Again, I think it's a really good show. The reason I watched it in the first place is because it had Donald Glover, who was I knew him from his YouTube channel fame, and now he's like the biggest star on that show. Like, he's a rapper, I want to say, and he's gonna be Spider-Man, or I don't know if that's true or not. He's a big guy, and not in the traditional American sense of that word too. Am I right? But no, yeah, like I watched it originally for Donald Glover. Now, like, it's just like a show that I rewatch or whatever every now and then. And so yeah, I definitely recommend Community, but you probably know about Community, or you're not going to watch it based on my recommendation. So let's go for some niche shows that I totally recommend. So we're going to go mostly British because, you know what, you like your internet cat because he's British, so you like his recommendations because they're British. You can be like, ooh, I bet the Queen watches this on her off time. And, you know, if that's how you like to live your life, then you totally can. So yeah, I really like Misfits, for one. I think it's a solid show. It's about, without spoilers, like, it's a group of kids who get superpowers, but they're like teenage delinquents. I don't know the word. It's like they committed some crimes at one point, and therefore it's funny because, you know, they're not doing it for good. They're criminals, but also they're criminals that aren't bad people. So there you go. There's an Irish guy who's funny. That's all you need to know. I think actually it's quite famous because there's a lot of silly superpowers in it, because that's how real superpowers would be if they were kind of naturally formed. So there's a guy who has the ability to control milk, for example, and I love this guy because again, I'm spoiling one episode really late in, so watch out for that, I guess. But there's an episode where a guy has the power to control milk, and you're like, what a lame superpower. But because everyone consumes milk all the time, he's actually quite the Superman. I guess I could spoil it and say the only person that actually can stand up to him is someone who's lactose intolerant. But yeah, fun fact, man who controls milk superpower, misfits right there. Peep Show has a really dodgy name. I didn't know that until much after watching it. But Peep Show is a really good show. It's like POV, I guess is the word for it, which I guess sounds dodgy when you combine that with Peep Show. But no, it's a really good show. It's got like a couple of actors you might recognize from a lot of other things. They're not actors, they're like comedians, I should say. And yeah, it's really, really good. I really like Peep Show. It's just super awkward British humor. If you like awkward British humor, if you find me funny even when I don't say funny things, because you better believe that's like 0% of the time, then maybe you'll like Peep Show. If you don't like Peep Show, I'm going to check I'm recording. I just realized, like, you know what? I've been talking to myself for 40 minutes here. Didn't even realize, didn't even check that the recording was gone. So, also, Bodyguard is a really good show. So I want to say it's like been picked up by some US network. I'm not too sure though. It has a Scottish guy. The guy who plays, fun enough, Robb Stark in Game of Thrones. He really hated being Robb Stark in Game of Thrones. Like, he was like, man, they didn't even pay me enough money to afford taxis or something weird like that. Like, he had some complaints. So, fun fact on that front. But more fun fact is that there's a bodyguard. It's a really good show about, guess this right, get this. He's a bodyguard, and yeah, so he plays a bodyguard. It's a fun thing. About episode 4, everything goes crazy, and it has the weirdest ending that's like worth watching if you really like the first 4 episodes. But honestly, the first 2 or 3 episodes are really good as a standalone thing. So watch 2 or 3 episodes, decide, do I like this enough to watch more, knowing you're going to ruin the first 3 episodes. It's like the YouTube thing. If it was a YouTube series, YouTube would recommend part 1, 2, 3, 4, and then part 5 and 6 you'd have to like go find yourself. Which, you know, say what you like, for better or worse. If you haven't watched BoJack Horseman, of course you've got to watch it. Umbrella Academy, another American show that's actually quite good, like well put together. Again, like I really like that Netflix can do things that are a bit more niche than necessarily regular TV needs to be. So yeah, those are the shows I recommend. If you haven't watched any of them yet, check it out. 1 episode is all I ask. Like with Black Mirror, it's just like, hey, in the first episode, the Prime Minister has to, I guess this is 18+, the Prime Minister has to have relations with a pig on live TV, or the princess dies. And is that not a premise enough by itself? It's entirely unrelated to the rest of the show, but it's like, it's the best hook, right? Like, you know what? I do want to watch the Prime Minister going through the moral dilemma of should you have relations with a pig in exchange for saving, you know, a very popular princess. You know, man, I'm just the worst at Minecraft today. So yeah, all in all, things have been going a little bit bad this week. But you know, again, I think you need to have downs to have ups, and even it's the hardest thing to recognize that in the middle of a down, because you're just like, man, I just want things to be a bit better. But I think in the end, you've just got to take advantage of it. Almost, you got to realize it is what it is for what it is, not let it define you as a whole. Because the hope is that you go past it. You know, one day it might define you, but never let something... you can choose what words define you, and you never have to let them be negative. And isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? That's my take on this. So yeah, I've been working on a lot of big videos, just very slowly. One of them is like one of my highest concept. Like, one of them is like 4 hours of work for about 7 minutes of payoff. It's going to be hopefully amusing. Hopefully, you know, in the same way that all of my things are, as in not very, but maybe you like that. And also, I've been working on lots of blue ice placing, and that's what I'm going to do when this is over. I hope you had a wonderful evening, because I did too. And I guess I'll see you all in the next one of these that I do, in whenever that is. So, goodbye. By the way, just to tie the whole video together, since it's a portal I really should have made and was thinking about making at the start anyway, well, here you can see, if I make a Nether portal right over here, at the big blue ice field where I have to go to collect this up anyway, something that wastes a, you know, firework every single time, I should be able to do the exact same reverse route trick. It won't necessarily take me up there, but it'll take me to a different faraway place, which is better for going back home, because now we can walk all the way back there, or we can hop back through and end up in the big blue ice area. Also, this is a risky one, but let's give it a whirl. I believe if we try to make another Nether portal over here, because again, the bedrock linking rules are slightly different, as we learned earlier, we should be able to use what we just learned there to prove that if we make a portal all the way over here, again, we're closer than 128 blocks, but it might just link to a brand new portal, or one of my existing ones, on the island, just like that. Perfect. So now, when we go through this portal, we can actually end up at the islands we want to. Nope, that island still takes us over here. Oh no, same place. So boom, just like that. We've now saved ourselves that fly we do every single time, because the icebergs take us up there, and that takes us to the islands. So it's a really weird circular roundabout route, but it works, is all you need to know. Also, just the fun of it, should we make like a tunnel out of packed ice here? I think that's a great idea. I think that's a thing we'll definitely do. Because, fun fact, you can have ice in the Nether without any problems. Isn't that great? I think it might get destroyed by ghasts, though. Let's find out. You know what? The video is meant to be over. But who's going to stop me on my channel? No, thank you very much for watching. Was that an XP bubble that you just fired at me? Thank you very much for watching this video. It means a lot to me. One of the things that does keep me sane, I would say, is the fact that people seem to care at least some amount about the things that I make when I make these Let's Plays or when I stream. And yeah, it means the world to me. So thank you for all the support and nice things over the years, the months, and indeed over just the last week. And for all the concern. I'm going to be okay. I always am. And hopefully you are too. Goodbye.